Are you a monster? You're a milk monster. A milk monster.
Hi, welcome to Breastfeeding with Sarah. I'm Sarah, your lactation consultant. In this video, we'll talk about nursing your child beyond 12 months old into the toddler years. Breastfeeding toddlers is a human norm and a public health imperative, but how often do we get to see it or even talk about it? In this video, we're going to dive into everything you need to know about the adventures of toddler nursing and dispel some myths along the way. Come join us. Our toddlers, both the World Health Organization and the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends breastfeeding your toddler for at least 2 years or longer to support the health of both mother and child. Check out these facts. When nursing our toddlers, breast milk is still a valuable source of nutrition, immune support, bonding and attachment, emotional regulation, improved maternal health. The improved maternal health outcomes with breastfeeding beyond 1 year are profound and very clear that the longer we breastfeed, the more we are protected from breast cancer and ovarian cancer. How much milk are you making when nursing your toddler? Since they're eating foods at this point, you're not supposed to be making as much milk as when they are an infant, so it will decline over time to calibrate with their needs. But even then, it is concentrated in antibodies, so the immune support is still valuable. What does nursing a toddler look like? It's not the same nursing patterns as nursing an infant in the sense that they grow into the natural process of weaning, which is a gradual evolution of nursing less often, so it looks different as they get older. Toddlers nurse only a few times per day, typically naps and bedtime, and gradually less as they get older. It's usually only for a few seconds to a few minutes during the day, and longer nursing sessions at nighttime and nap times. During transitions or developmental leaps, they will nurse more frequently. They nurse more often when they're hurt, teething, scared, need connection and regulation. When they're sick and can't eat and digest solid foods, they may only nurse during this time. If your toddler could tell you why they nurse, they would say it's for comfort, security, knowing you're still there, check-in, and bonding. See the comprehensive video I made about breastfeeding called Why We Choose to Breastfeed to look in depth at the benefits of breastfeeding into toddlerhood, including interviews with mental health professionals on the mental health benefits of breastfeeding and how breastfeeding is a built-in way to raise a securely attached child. Let's dispel some myths about toddler breastfeeding. There's no more value in the milk for the toddler. Research shows significant nutritional and immunological components that benefit toddlers. There are plenty of research studies that show us that breast milk still supplies toddlers with valuable energy and nutritional components and explain that the human immune system is designed in a way that it is still immature at this age because they are meant to have the antibodies and immune support that breast milk provides well into toddlerhood. It'll make them dependent and clingy. Research shows the opposite as toddler nursing increases positive social, emotional, and cognitive effects. Research studies that have looked at long-term outcomes show us that breastfeeding into toddlerhood increases children's psychosocial development, IQ, and later success in life. If they can ask for it, they shouldn't still be nursing. Who made up that rule? It's time to relearn what is normal and take back what we do with our bodies and how we care for our children. And it is the human norm to give human milk to toddlers. Did you know that the average age of weaning throughout history around the world is 4.2 years? Does that seem strange? If yes, then we need to relearn what is normal. Even research shows us that toddler nursing is stigmatized. Why? Here's a hint. The breast is over-sexualized in many cultures. So what needs to change? The tradition of toddler nursing or the sexualization of the breast? Back as a new mom myself, a valuable thing I learned at a breastfeeding group was an experienced mom saying, breastfeeding your toddler in public does a service to your culture by normalizing it. That moment opened up my mind to this topic and gave me permission to do what felt right for me. So I'll pass that on to you, saying we need to talk about and see toddlers nursing to normalize it again. See the series of videos I'll be making on toddler nursing, including nursing when you're pregnant again, tandem nursing, and how to wean your toddler. Here's some amazing stories about breastfeeding toddlers from the Breastfeeding with Sarah community. We can learn from the experience and wisdom of these mothers who have successfully breastfed their toddlers.
We haven't stopped. My son is almost 3 and I am just like over the moon about how our breastfeeding journey has went. And I feel very blessed and thankful for all the advice and support because I know that's why we've been able to do it so long. And his, emotional health, like he will be upset and he gets on the boob and he self-soothes himself. Like he calms down instantly, like tantrum, throwing himself on the floor, so upset, gets on the boobie. Within a minute, he is calm. He is calm. He's ready to talk about it. It is amazing. So
nursing has always worked at calming her. Even she's now 2.5 and I'm still nursing, and it's incredible how cathartic and calming it is. How quickly we can get from worked up to totally fine with nursing. Yeah. Well, it's incredible how, and even now she's verbal. She knows she's upset, and she's not yet able to say, I'm upset, I need to calm down, but she does say milky.
And as we got a little bit older, it really became a way for my son and I to reconnect. As he got a little bit older, he was crawling away more or starting to walk, and he was exploring the world, but he always had me to come back to, and we could snuggle up together, and he could get his milk. And I taught him sign language early on, so he wasn't even saying words yet, but just one little hand sign, which I learned in mom's group, this baby sign language. So he would just give me the sign, and it was like, okay, here we go, and we would reconnect.
So there's so many different, like, amazing benefits. And that, I would say, is huge for us. And like, especially in today's world, them being able to build their immunity through my breast milk is huge. Cause I mean, let's be real, toddlers are all very picky, and I have a very picky toddler. He doesn't eat much. So I'm reassured that, okay, he's still getting the breast milk. That's why I think it's awesome to keep breastfeeding my toddler. And plenty of people judge and plenty of people make comments, and I don't care. I'm like, the health of my child is more important than your opinion.
We had our first real hospital episode where Leon got bit by a poisonous spider at preschool, and he went through the worst pain in his life, and he was in the hospital with 104 degrees fever, terrified of all the syringes and medications. It was terrible, but I just had him, and we were breastfeeding the whole time.
And we still breastfeed. She's 2.5. She's going to be 3 in November. And we do it out in public, and people stare at us, and people constantly come up to me and be like, you should wean. You should wean her, And I'm like, why? I don't understand this kind of concept of like kind of disconnecting from your child and like also just not nourishing them. I'm not really sure about that. Like, I don't know why our society is like kind of really forcing that on us to be like, breastfeeding's weird. That's your chest, you should cover up. Even, family members, you're just gonna be there with your chest hanging out. Yeah, this is what they're for. They're not for you to ogle at. They're for my baby, and this is what my baby needs. She's still a baby. She's 2.5. It seems like by breastfeeding, you're constantly reaffirming what kind of person you are to the outside world. Like, yes, I am a woman. Yes, this is what my body does naturally, and it feels natural to us. And, yes, she asked for milk, but I mean, that's okay, She's old enough to ask for milk and tell me about it. And, I ask her questions about it, and she loves it, and it's a bonding experience, and we're extremely close. But she can also go and be with her dad. People really talk about that. If you keep breastfeeding, she's not going to be able to be away from you. My daughter's just like, see you later, Mom. She doesn't have a hard time breaking away from me. She doesn't have a hard time integrating with other kids because I breastfeed her still. And she can go all day without milk. But when we come back, it's our bonding time, and it's not weird. She's amazing, and she's smart, and she's connected, and she knows herself. You couldn't tell my daughter something, that she doesn't feel, and we talk about it, and we're connected. And so if you have a problem with it, I'm sorry, but that has nothing to do with us, and we're doing our own thing. And I've had mamas come up to me, now when I'm still breastfeeding, because she's 2.5 now, and being like, oh my, I wish I had people like you in my life when I was breastfeeding my daughter, because I stopped because everybody was shaming me for it. And if I'd have found you sooner, she would still be breastfeeding. It was a little girl. She would have still been breastfeeding. And I just felt so bad for her. And I'm like, man, it takes a lot to go against the grain. And the only way you can really go through it is if you have a connection with yourself. and you have the community. If I didn't have the community, I would have been like, oh my God, yeah, my baby's gonna be weird. I heard that a lot. Your baby's gonna be weird. You keep breastfeeding, you're gonna have a weird baby. That's not Sarah's group, so, you know. And I was like, you know what? Sarah told me. She said, you know, it's gonna be hard, but you know, if you stick to what's inside, what feels right for you and what's right for your baby, if you're doing that all the time, you'll always feel, you'll look back on that time, and if it doesn't feel right, then change it. But if it felt right, you'll know it's the right thing to do. Like, but to enable to do that, you have to be very strong within yourself, and you have to have community. If I didn't have those two things, I would probably be bottle feeding my kid right now.
Somebody were to hand me $1 million today and say you have to stop breastfeeding, I would deny it. I would say, no, I want to breastfeed. I don't care how much money you have to hand me. Like, no amount of money is more important than like that's how important I feel like breastfeeding is. Like, literally, I'm just like, I was in tears. Like, I don't even care if somebody handed me $1 million. Like, breastfeeding is more important than that right now. Like, that is so, to me, it's like, it's the emotional health of the child. They're bonding with you. I'm bonding with them. Like, we're building relationship. It's like the nurturing. I feel like that is huge. Like, nurturing that child, like through being able to like hold him close with me. Like, things get busy, and like I do find myself a lot of times like cleaning and trying to keep up the house and all that. And like, when you breastfeed, you have to sit down, you take that time, you can't be doing anything else. You know what I mean? You're taking that time to sit down and like be with that child. Like, I'm holding him, he's breastfeeding with me. Like, I feel like that like makes me stop and like take a break. Here we are, this is our time.
So as you can see, nursing your toddler is a perfectly normal and healthy thing to do. So if you felt inside that you wanted to do this but needed permission, now you have permission. Nurse your toddler.